This is the Manufacturing Automation Podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Matt. In this podcast, we're going to discuss growing companies, automation and manufacturing,
and how we're building the lives and businesses we want to see in the world.
Well, here we are. We made it. We started with a good chuckle already, which means your week must be going pretty good. So how's Michael feeling this week?
Oh, man. I feel lately like a chameleon in that, I'll go into one thing, that's broken, fix it. And, in small business, it just feels like, in an effort to professionalize everything, and just like everything is broken. So I went in, kind of fixed the sales and the marketing a little bit, had my head down, call after call after call. And, obviously we're a little bit short staffed, which I've been whining about, and we're really, really struggling to keep up. We still are looking for a senior CNC machinist and an assembly guy, and I'm forcing myself to be disciplined. Like, I really want an A player, and I know that takes time. And even though it's stressful, and I'm seeing the B and C players, and I just keep telling myself, no, just keep being patient.
You'll be happy long run.
Yeah. This week, basically, we went in, I went into the CNC machining area when, I hired our CNC machinist, and kind of saw the slow breakdown of all the systems that we had, of where things were supposed to be organized, standardized tooling, and it was pretty bad. And now that our assembly guy left, we did the same thing there, and oh my God, we had 4 different Kanban cards for identical parts in 4 different locations. I mean, just nothing made sense. And basically, my week has been tearing that down, designing it from the ground up, new Kanban system, new assembly system, which has been just a ton of work, trying to get our processes to be efficient, trying to really do the whole lean thing, right? And yeah, it's been a little bit overwhelming, so I don't have as much sales and marketing. So you'll probably go on a little bit more in that topic.
That's all right. Yeah. For me this week, I feel like I've been like a machine in the sales and marketing, or email, if you will. Fixer gives you those reports at the end of the week. It helped me manage 1,089 emails last week.
Yeah.
So
I don't get reports unless I just.
It takes a while. I didn't get them for the first month. So I don't know if all of a sudden it started trending, because then it gave me data based on up and down trend of previous weeks.
Right.
So I'm not really sure, but it was just
that
80%
done by by someone else's 100% awesome quote. I feel like that about Fixer. Sometimes I'll go to write a long email, and then I read what Fixer wrote, and I just click send.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I just take that and overlay. I guess we're rolling right into sales and marketing for that. I just
finish your week.
That's basically it. It's feeling like a machine, if you will, kind of just how fast can I get through these things, and trying to automate more of it there, and looking at tools. So overall optimistic, moving forward on lots of deals, but just need to get some to the finish. For the sales and marketing of that, the thing that I've been doing is taking the Fixer stuff. That's great for, like you said, a lot of it. And then how you get the call recordings at the end of it? I don't know if you use that at all.
Yep, we do.
So I take that, and then I have my notes that I take right during the call in HubSpot. And then I've built a ChatGPT agent that I just drop my notes from Fixer, my notes from HubSpot, and then I've built an SOP the way I like to have my format of my response emails after an email or after a meeting with a potential client. And it just summarizes all that and breaks down my notes and puts it in the format I like. It's really cool.
Okay.
That's been a format.
It goes and puts it from the Fixer transcript into the HubSpot notes.
So I take my Fixer notes that is from the transcript. I then take the HubSpot notes that I take during the call, because I also take kind of my main bullet points, or very specific notes, just in fear that they might be missed from Fixer, or just digging through, if you will. I take both of those lists and notes. I've built a ChatGPT agent that I just drop those into, and then it builds a response email based on that. So email responses that used to take me an hour after a call, I can do in 10 minutes now.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that saved me a pile of time. I don't know if you've looked at building out your agents within ChatGPT, but they're stupid simple.
Yeah. Luckily, Fixer has a big enough database that it is answering fairly technical questions kind of out of nowhere. It doesn't answer all of them correctly. This morning, it drafted an email that was, I would say, 70% correct, but it was answering like a bunch of technical questions about the macro variables in our like software that we give our customers.
Well, it
Wait,
reads through your past emails is the way
right,
it does
yeah.
it. Yeah.
But I was just shocked like that any of it was accurate, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's like working with a team member that never forgets anything that you've taught it.
And costs $50 a month. Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So I don't know. That's been one thing that I've been using the fixer stuff is to go out to ChatGPT for post meetings. Otherwise, I got a list of other things I'm trying to do for improvements that I can bounce ideas off. But
Yeah, I think company-wide improvements is going to be a long one here.
yeah, it's
Um,
well, most of my company stuff is still sales and marketing that I'm
yeah,
really honing in on because we've focused on engineering and R&D so much over the last 2 years here that sales and marketing has been Matt just brute forcing it, and that's not working anymore with the number of leads coming in.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you there. And we have been a lot in engineering and R&D, but not like making the assembly process smooth, which is its own battle.
Yeah.
But while we're in sales and marketing,
Yeah.
can I just ask a little bit, generally about your funnel? Is like, you obviously have, leads coming in through, trade shows and the website. Is there any other top of funnel sources that you go after?
Trade show and website are the two that are the areas we're focusing on most. The other area has been my list of contacts and then the like local chamber events. So like if
Hmm.
we kind of go back in time, develop used to never have any budget to do anything. This is a dream to build this. And what I did is I took like 3 months and I went to every chamber event, every engineering event, anything manufacturing related. And I just drove it. If it was in 100 miles radius
My
of my
God, yeah,
home, you were more than likely going to run into me. Like it was like 3 months. That's all I did. And so I built this like interesting network through that locally. And that's what we really spun develop off of. Like that was when I went full time, that was the first 3 months other than my one client, one major client. And I just chased that. And
yeah,
that spun out a good amount, but we haven't been able to scale off that. And we've really kind of saturated or the best clients we could find there we're working with. Some still kind of pop in. It's really weird. I had one yesterday call me out of the blue. He was at Costco. He heard that we had moved to where we're at, and he's like, "Hey, I want to swing by. I just had this big project come in, and I hadn't talked to him in 5 years, and it looks like we're going to have a new product development for an industrial product starting here like really soon because it's something that he had landed in his lap in like the last week. And he's
right.
like, I just saw your video roll through on my LinkedIn when I opened up LinkedIn, and I was like, oh, that'll help. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, that's funny.
You know what's funny is I did kind of the same thing. I had my, I was doing EO events, I was doing NTMA events, all these, like every event I could go to. We were doing little mini host shows, we did a couple mini track shows. I don't think I can remember a single lead that closed,
Hmm.
that got through the process from going to like 20 different events, kind of regardless of timing. On these smaller scale events. I mean, I can think of a whole bunch of like IMTS leads and whatnot that have closed, but it's funny that I've had kind of the opposite experience, and I wonder if that's just
It
where
was a
we are in the market.
it was a couple really big wins. So it's
Yeah.
not like I had a lot. I can think of one, two, three. This will be the fourth, and now that's coming back 5 years later.
Yeah.
But that was yeah, just I don't know, continuing to go to them and then just was the other thing that I saw with that is some of those events I can like the ones that I found from those initial 3 months. What happened is I found out the ones that were really good for our markets, and then I continued to go to those. The conversions that I can think of from that initial legwork that were really good were like 2 years later because it was like they
Right.
saw staying power. It was like I had people that 2 year timestamp hit, and all of a sudden they started talking. It was really weird. It was like this guy's got some staying power. I'm going to talk to him now. But it was like it had to be 2 years. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Interesting.
weird,
Okay.
weird brand, but yeah,
So like, but your modern top of funnel is pretty much website trade shows, right?
yeah. Website and trade shows. I'm also like for the trade show side of it. Something that's been intriguing to me is like how many more trade shows do we want to do next year? Because the more I'm seeing on the way we're doing marketing and the stuff that's getting advertised to me for how much AI can then take over it and like just regurgitate information and water down a lot of this value.
Right.
I'm going, is marketing going to be really devalued in 26 and trade show face to face
Yeah.
interactions are going to be higher value? Like that's been a serious question I've been asking myself lately on the sales and marketing and where we want to be putting our dollars next year now that, in my opinion, our website's going to be as done as we really need to. We're going to be continuing to create educational content. That's all I really want to focus on. But I don't know how much more I just want to continue to push into that given
Right.
where some of the marketing's going.
Yeah. So I think you're right. I think content marketing is going to really suffer, like from all this AI video crap, and even on Instagram now, you like scroll down and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe that happened, and then it's AI generated and you didn't even know. The I
You're
don't know when
starting
it'll get
the
to the
lack of
point,
trust,
huh?
the lack of trust.
Yeah, there's the lack of trust. The like for us, we still have a need for a lot of like videos of like we forever have needed to make a video of like what does the grip palette do? We have like the basics, but we don't have anything that like guides a customer of implementing it. We don't
Mhm.
have for a decent number of our products, we don't even have a video on them at all. Just because time has been such a constraint. I think there's a lot of space for videos like that, whether AI generated or not. But yeah, it's going to be a problem if I mean, it kind of already is.
How many, what are you planning on for trade shows next year? Like, do you have a
Yeah.
quantity or like specific ones you want to go to?
So, it's kind of funny because right now, I've been so aggressively pursuing all these marketing avenues. We've been doing like sponsored Instagram posts where we pay an influencer to like cross post with us, or we've looked at doing podcasts, or paying Practical Machinist, or Titan, or all these people will just take money and basically promote your stuff. They're
Yeah.
really marketing firms, and at least right now, I'm looking at it like, God, I have me and like three people on the floor. We can't keep up with the work we have. We've got more than a month's revenue in AR right now and half completed projects. We have supply chain issues from all the tariff stuff, things that go into those projects. And I'm just looking at it like I'm going to do all the marketing things. Like I got to turn that dial in 3 months because if I try to grow right now, it's going to kill us.
Yeah, I
And
see what you're saying.
so you know, like we've been quoting higher prices, longer lead times, and we're still the thing. Ever since the tariffs hit, like all these old deals I thought were dead just closed. And then I'm like, oh shit, we promised an 8 week lead time. I don't know how we're gonna do it in 12. And it's triggered a lot of conversations of like, okay, well, this was on a 30-day valid quote, but now we can't hit the lead time anymore because our closure rate was 30 and now it's 60. Um, I guess I didn't answer the question, but my head is like, I got to fix the production problems.
Yeah,
I
you're
got to
not even
hire the
thinking.
people
Yeah, you're
because
not
I
even
already have
thinking
too much
about
inbound.
marketing.
Um,
Okay.
and I guess my long term, I think like there's a big question I have about like inbound versus outbound. Um, because like if I'm looking at everything, I think you told me this, like if our close rate is where it is, we're not charging enough, right? It's
Yeah,
too high.
I was gonna say that if you're
Yeah.
at 60%, you're closing too many, in my opinion,
Yeah.
Michael.
Yep. So
Something has to change.
yeah, we're not charging enough. And then the lead times have to get pushed out, and I've gotten better about that.
What's your lead time currently?
Right now, kind of generically, we're at 16 weeks.
I don't think you need to go any further than that at that point. I think you need to raise your prices.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So we announced actually we were going to raise our prices to all of our like mid deal customers on the 31st, and that upped the close rate as well,
Oh yeah.
temporarily, but
Yeah,
the
I disregard those as part of your data.
yeah. Yeah, but I mean the data set's relatively small. I mean the at max we're doing 7 calls a week, like that I'm doing, and but it is getting to the point where it's like I have to push those lead times out, and I have to get the staff in to be able to process it.
Okay. Yeah, I see. Yeah, your head's on operations, not sales and marketing.
Yeah, I did too well after we got rid of our sales guy, and now,
That's a good problem.
but I know you've been doing cold calls, and I was talking a little bit like a week or two ago about outbound versus inbound. The Have you had any desire to go and put like a more detailed outbound process in place, or not really?
I'm not doing cold calls. I'm doing calls for leads from trade shows. So people we scan and already pre-qualified. So those, it's pretty straightforward for following up on those. And it's more or less like I emailed them and they didn't engage and they were qualified as like a 4 or 5 star in our book. Or they opened the email and I can see they looked at like wanting to schedule a meeting. So then I'm like, I'll just give them a call and say, hey, do one of these days work? And usually if I get them on the phone, I get a more formal meeting booked because usually people don't want to talk to impromptu about machine building.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I've been seeing. Things that I've been seeing on changes of the calls that I've been having is there's been, you know how we've talked about like the automation assessment that we do?
Mhm.
So we have, it's been interesting because it's like the clients that are going towards that are just unsure of like what the automation journey could look like for them or how to properly move forward. And it was interesting because like I had 2 clients this week or potential clients that were like, we don't want an assessment. We don't want a consultant. We want basically a partner or an extension of our team to come in on it. Basically retainers, what they're looking for, which is interesting. And is like, that's basically what package number 3 is that we've turned it to,
Right.
but it was phrasing is what they were really hung up on, is that it was an assessment. I think they felt like we were going to do this work, throw the paperwork over the fence and run out the door. And it's like,
Hmm.
no, that's definitely, we're not making money on the assessments. What we're trying to do is help you understand the best opportunities so you can make as much money with machine building so you can get to your second machine. Our goal is to build to your first though and find the best one for you.
Right.
So I think it was just some phrasing there, which is some,
Have you considered just, there have been plenty of places we've had the same thing of, customers got confused over, whatever, so we turned from a chip guard to an intrador.
yeah,
There's a lot of places where we'll just change the name of something,
that's what
once we see. Yeah.
I changed that. So after those 2 calls, then I had 3 more calls later in the week that kind of ended up, the client was going the same way where like they thought they knew exactly what they wanted, digging into it further. It was going to be a lot of work to get in there. So we started pitching the automation partner program, and it was received far better, which was
Yeah. Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, that makes sense. It
So
sounds better.
yeah, so they seem to like that where we have 3 packages. One's pretty cost effective. We'll give you all the tools that we do to do with these things so you can kind of self guide your journey with somebody helping you on a couple meetings. Next ones, we come boots on the ground and do it. The other ones, boots on the ground. And then every month we're booking X number of hours towards your automation projects and scoping them to get you rolling on the right project. So we'll see how it's received.
This makes me think, I want to get your take on this because, we've been doing, over time, more and more of these like outsourced consultants, and, especially some stuff that we don't understand, like we did this with SEO, for instance. And my kind of feeling with all of these things, like especially outsourced services that I don't understand, is like, someone gives me a price. Say it's $10,000. And this came up actually today where it's like, okay, there's this, kind of media PR thing with a podcast with decent viewership. It's like, okay, they're saying, okay, $10,000, here's what the package is going to entail. And I look at that and I kind of like shrug my shoulders and I'm like, okay, but every time this conversation, it goes like either that's going to ROI and be amazing and be somewhat seamless, or, it's going to be kind of a disaster
Yeah.
and, and have, very little return. And I've seen this with CPAs. I've seen this with, outsourced engineering. I've seen this with everything that's service-based.
Hmm.
And, I guess what that makes me think of is like, how do you, better instill the trust that the process is going to go well? Um,
Yeah. I think
and that's one thing
that's a
that, Matt,
great question.
I don't know about you. Like, I don't know what your automation process is. Like, I know you have the funnel, you have the call, maybe a couple of calls, and then, the automation partnership, not assessment.
Yeah.
But I don't actually know what happens after that. And I don't know how that's communicated to your customers, but
Yeah.
I would like you to walk me through it.
Yeah. So if you're on that, say you pick that third tier, the real goal, or even the second tier, what we're trying to do is help that customer at the end of the day find the right automation project. So they don't know that they say need an assembly machine, a robotic assembly machine. Our goal is to get in and understand their business and look at the areas where they have a lot of labor waste, if you will, or, basically where they're throwing bodies at it, where they're creating scrap, or they're limited on growth because they just don't have the people to do the tasks. We come
Right.
in and identify that. We run the ROI calculations or the financial metrics around it. And then we scope a project correctly because I think something that's broken on the automation scoping project is customer comes with metrics and they say, this is what we need built. And typically on the automation process is, all right, we'll draft you a statement of work and we'll give you that. And maybe if it's a good integrator, there's going to be a lot of upfront questions of like, you understand that this is going to be X dollars. What are you trying to do? You try and narrow in on that. The issue is I'm hundreds of miles away from your facility and I'm trying to understand something that you've been doing for decades, if not generations. And I like to say it's very similar to product development. If you skip the upfront energy that it should be taken on scoping a project, you're just pushing that pain into the future. So you might not get exactly the machine you could have. It might still
Right.
ROI,
Right.
but you might not have leveraged those dollars as hard as you could have for growth. And that's where I see like doing, spending $10,000, $20,000 just scoping your project appropriately upfront. The issue that we've continued to say is that like develop can't continue to just scope these projects at no cost, especially the number of leads that we're having come in. That's why these pipelines where I'm like, this is a great project. They just don't have a detailed SOW because sometimes customers that have been doing this for a really long time can give us a 10-page SOW and be very specific. And I have no problem bidding to those. Then at that point, they
Right.
don't need me to come in and help guide them. So at the end of the day, long story short, what they get at the end of the assessment is a fully scoped out project that I firmly believe is going to be the best growth driver for their business.
Can I give you some feedback?
Sure, fire away.
So there's a lot of stuff in EOS I think we weren't ready for. And the one thing that I really think moved our conversion rate significantly was this concept of the EOS quote unquote proven process. So I kind of heard all that because I was trying to figure out like, what happens after Met. I hear every week, how you do the sales process. And obviously you guys are delivering things because your customers are happy and you sell more. But I don't know a ton about the after. In our sales process, I'm gonna share my screen here. So if you're listening, I don't know, go watch this on YouTube. We basically followed the whole EOS template of like, here's a flow chart, here's 5 things, and every single call we're like, okay, we're gonna do a discovery meeting. Then we're gonna get you a proposal. Exactly how much it costs. We're gonna charge you 50% up front. We're gonna build it and test it in house. Then we're gonna send you a video of it working. Then we're gonna ship it to you. We're gonna do the 3 training meetings, and then we're there to support, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing that I think hearing all of that from, and I don't know what your sales process or pitch deck looks like, but for us, just giving like a confident answer that so the customer has an idea of like what the process looks like when it's actually built has upped our close rate tremendously. And I've noticed, when I'm looking for outside services, when it's complex and I don't understand it, when there's not like an A to B to C to D path, that's almost always when I don't buy.
Yeah, that's a good point because we've made some videos around that, but like the deck has the bullet points on there, but making it as a flow chart like that would be really simple. It's really straightforward. We need to get in, boots on the ground, scope the project, build the machine,
Yeah.
make money.
And the point is to make it look simpler, honestly, than it is.
Yeah.
These projects are hard.
Oh yeah. But I
But
see what you're saying is it's the what's needed from me and how does that work through? Yeah.
yeah, because like your customers at the end of the day, they don't really understand what you're doing. Like they understand like they're gonna automate the thing, and it needs to do X, Y, Z. Like they understand the scope. At very least they don't understand like how the PLC integrates with the robot, and integrates with this and so on, and all the little intricacies that
It's
you
it's interesting because selling the machines there is easier when they know what they want.
right
That's really it. It's these customers that I continue like I trying to do like we sell these automation assessments. They pretty far and few between. Somebody converts
partnerships.
into that partnerships, yes. But yeah, it's the ones that don't know how to scope a project or how to go about that. They typically end up just dying on our vine, if you will.
Hmm.
And I see a real opportunity because I really like working with those businesses because usually they have significant opportunities and
They
they're
don't even
very
see it.
passionate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just need somebody to help them. And that's the ones that we have gotten to convert around that have been some of our best clients to date. It just, yeah, maybe I just need to make a, rather than a
I'm
bullet point
envisioning,
list, it's
a flow
flow
chart
chart.
of, here's our 30-minute discovery call, and here's our, automation partnership, site visit. And then, you talk about the site visit, we come to your location, we find all the places that there's issues, and we find the lowest hanging fruit that we can automate with a machine we can build. So you'll get the ROI the fastest. And then
Yeah,
we, set up the SOW, then we build the machine, then, we deliver it. And just like taking people through that process, might help even just your close rate to get to the automation partnership.
it's interesting because I've gone through saying that. I think it's the image.
Yeah.
I think it's literally just showing them an image in the call
Yeah.
would make it that much better.
Yeah. Because we used to do that too, but just bullet points. It didn't work.
Yeah, bullet
Um,
point. Yeah, you're
'Cause
right. That's what I'm saying. I think you're right on is that doesn't work.
yeah, and like if you read traction in the EOS thing, there's like literally instructions of like, no, you have to use, like 4 to 6, not bullet points, but a flow chart. End it with something in a circle. Usually that's like ongoing support or whatever. And you print it out on heavy cardstock. You use 2 colors. Like it is detailed and does not leave a lot of room for interpretation. And obviously we do this on a slide, but kind of followed it to the letter.
Okay, I'll try that. I mean, all I have to do is spin this documentation and I'll have that done this afternoon. And next week when I'm pitching it, I'll probably have an update.
Cool.
Cool. Thanks for that feedback.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just a little bit confused when you were telling me about all the actual process.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
I was trying to give you more of a technical answer and I should have pitched it more like I'm talking to an executive because typically it's a little simpler.
yeah,
But
and I was
yeah.
trying to pretend I didn't understand too.
Oh, all right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All
Do you
right.
want to move on to the next section?
Yeah. I got actually a couple other things for HubSpot tools.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you, I think we talked about SMSing last week.
Oh yeah.
Do you do any of that in HubSpot yet?
Nothing. No.
Okay. I found an app called Link. I'm leaning towards that because they also have a trade show
I know what you're
app.
talking about. Yeah.
They have a trade show app as well. And I think we can actually ROI the SMS app just through the trade show app, given the number of trade shows I want to do next year. So,
How
something to
does the
look at.
trade show app work? Because usually they have that stupid third party thing you got to pay $3,400 for.
Yes. So
Yeah.
apparently they found a way around it. So I'm buying it for Automate.
Mm-hmm.
And if it works for me, we'll deploy it across the rest of the team members.
What's the risk if it doesn't work? Like, how much is the Link trade show tool?
The Link Trade Show tool is $250 per person per year.
Okay. So if it doesn't work, like if it doesn't grab the email addresses or whatever, I don't know if they have like a Zoom info database and then like grab it, the name and then find it or what happens. But if that doesn't work, are you like going to go to the little stupid automate, thing in the center, the admin, and just pay for the
We already
booth
have
scanner?
we already have the booth scanner.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I'm going to have the booth scanner app, the Express app.
Right.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
have that on my phone, but I also want to try this Link app right in parallel with it on a couple leads and just see how it works at this
So
show.
there's no downside risk, but yeah. Okay.
There's no risk at this show. Yep.
Cool.
So
Well, I will have to try that for West Tech.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
let you know how it goes. And then the other one is, do you have LinkedIn integrated right into HubSpot where like you actually
No.
can email through there?
That's a
So-
thing.
It is. And I've been nerding very hard.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Amanda's sick of me talking about this and the associated costs. It's allegedly $8,000 to $10,000 a year. I'm still waiting on my quote to
Well,
come
never
in.
mind.
But yeah, that's allegedly what it costs. But I was doing ROI calculations on it. And after a trade show, I have to in-mail message all my 4 and 5-star leads. I have to copy and paste their LinkedIn link into HubSpot. And then I have to create tasks based on whether I was in-mailing them or messaging them via email or calling them. So it's like, I think I can ROI that in the next 12 months.
Yeah. I guess one of the things, and maybe this is too much of the bootstrapper in me, I always think like, okay, it's $8,000 to $10,000, right? And it'll ROI. Sure, it will. But like, I'm like, where can I put that $8,000 to $10,000? That will also ROI. And what's easier,
bigger.
lower hanging fruit, or a better ROI value? Because at the end of the day, you can't use every single initiative that will ROI if you focus on it, right?
No, I'm with you there. I'm more or less trying to see how far I can get a one person sales team like this and
Yeah.
automate as absolutely much as possible. Because what's interesting is like I'll forget. The other thing is not necessarily ROIing just my time. It's I'll forget that I messaged somebody on InMail, and then like
Yeah.
say 2 weeks later when I should have messaged them, or say a month later when I should have messaged them 2 weeks ago, I'll finally remember it. And it's like, shoot. And it's
Hmm.
like, I created the task, I tried to create the reminder and stuff still slip, but I can build the in-mail then into sequences. So then it's all automated.
Yeah. That makes a ton of sense.
So that's what I'm looking at. I haven't justified the, like I said, it's $8,000 to $10,000. And it's like,
Yeah.
good Lord, that is just seems so expensive.
How much are you paying for LinkedIn? You're paying like the $100 a month plan?
Yeah, I think that's what it
Yeah.
is right now.
Yeah. And I have the same problem with LinkedIn. It's like, someone will message me. The number of messages I get are relatively few and far between. That aren't like some, bullshit consulting service from India. And
Yeah.
and because of that, every time a legitimate lead comes in, it might take me like a week to get back to them, which is just not acceptable. Like really, the it, you have the best conversions if you respond within 24 hours. Especially within like two. It
Yep.
just um and the problem is like with things like Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, it's so easy to just not look at them and focus on your email, where most likely it's where your paying customers are.
No,
But
that's spot on. And you're right about the 24 hours. That's one of my OKR key metrics that I'm tracking right now is response rate, that nothing stays in any inbox, whether it's
yeah,
Instagram, LinkedIn, email, nothing lives in there for more than 24 hours without a personalized response from Matt or Fixer.
yep, yep. Or Fixer, a personalized response that the AI generated, just like your email.
I mean, but
Yeah.
it's still getting it
So
done because it's
yeah,
interesting. I mean, I've responded like I have one lead right now that I've probably sent 10 emails in the last 7 business days. They're all simple questions where like normally I've been like, I'll get to that, or like I'll wait and compound a bunch of them together. And it's like, I just hammered through it and the guy's so much more engaged that way.
I know. Yeah. And just the amount of content you can write. I mean, yeah, you're right. You could spend 20, 30 minutes on an email, or you can go and tweak what Fixer writes. And
Mhm.
it's, anyways, we got to stop advocating for Fixer. We're like a giant ad because we both love the service so much. But,
Yeah. All right. Engineering and R&D. What's happening for you, or do you have sales and marketing you want to cover?
honestly, like sales and marketing, I've just been handling the inbound. Really, there's not much there. I've been doing inbound. I've been trying to get through my HubSpot tasks. We are doing fewer meetings, but our close rate on them is still really high. So it's just a matter of keeping up. So it's kind of all shop floor problems. Very, very
Okay.
slow progress on the extra load. Um, we have a new version of the GimVac that's going to come out, I don't know, in 2, 3 months, that I'm kind of excited about. It's like more compact, but it's all minor stuff. And I honestly, like, for the first time, am excited about that. It's like we have a good product suite that, none of the stuff for the most part needs a new rev. It all works. It all works well. And now I'm just kind of like, I gotta optimize it. I gotta get the cost down. I gotta in-house as much of the manufacturing as we reasonably can, and just go. Um, which is kind of a new mindset for me.
I like it. Execute.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all
Rinses,
little
repeat.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like we had this old motor on the Tumble Blast, and then we got rid of it, but we didn't know if the new motor was going to transition or not, right? So we made this hybrid version with a little 3D printed like circular spacer, that centered the new motor. Then we moved to the new motor, and we've still been building the stupid little 3D printed spacer in this like hybrid compatible version, even though we got rid of that motor or the old motor 6 months ago. So it's like we have a wasted component, extra work, and all we had to do is update the design. And I'm just finding stuff like that. So there's tons of like engineering things. Um,
Yeah. Those are just lean initiatives at that point, tuning the system.
yeah, I've kind of become like obsessed with the whole lean thing.
Have you read the Toyota Way or that book yet?
No, I've been a big fan of like the incremental podcast for a long time. And then the Uriel started Arda, which has been amazing for as
Hmm.
many part numbers as we have. The right now I'm listening to the 2 second lean by Paul Akers.
Okay.
Um,
2 second lean. I haven't
and,
heard
and
of
it's
that
really
one.
making me like rethink how possible things are. Especially now, like our lead times are getting longer. Our customers seem not to care if a gripper takes 1 day or four. Um, and there's a lot of stuff in that book that sounds like super crazy on the surface. Like build one of your product. Like, you need a part, like build one, like machine one, powder coat one, and I think some of it's too far, but
Yeah, single
um,
piece flow is a very real thing.
and it's hard in like multi-process stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm getting to like, oh, especially as we, focus on insourcing as much of our parts as we can, building not maybe one, but like six of a part that we, churn 12 in a month is something that like looks attractive to me now. And I'm starting to feel like I kind of get it. Um, and just literally not holding assembled inventory on the shelf and just only assembling it to order,
Mhm.
Kanbanning all the individual components. And, we might have enough inventory to build 10 of anything at any point. Um, all of this stuff is starting to get to me, and that's kind of where my focus is right now.
I like it.
What about you? Engineering R&D?
We got sign off on the nut runner this week, and
Awesome.
the client was like on a mission. I shook his hand on his way through the front entry, said, "Good to see ya." The team lead that was running the project was like right behind me. They both went and they worked through lunch. He got sign off on it and was out the door. It was like the smoothest factory acceptance testing we've
That's
ever
awesome.
done. And like the team built this machine without me. It's really cool to see. So yeah, the
Cool.
guy tried breaking it and
Yeah.
like just couldn't get it to break, and so it was awesome.
Yeah.
So
So,
that was engineering and R&D. Really proud of the team that they got that project through, and it looks gorgeous too. Like the team's out doing hero shots and video for the website and kind of just doing the button up for our internal case study, if you will.
yeah. Yeah, I actually do have one more R&D thing.
All right, fire away.
Um, so we have a turnkey that we're working on that's running a little bit behind like kind of all of our stuff right now, but nevertheless, this turnkey has through spindle air, and the machine that we're putting it on didn't. So we wanted to add through spindle air, which normally you require through Haas. You have to get through spindle coolant or have the through spindle coolant ready provision at least. So I go and get a quote, and it's like $12,000, and I'm like, there's no way this is correct. Like this is like a little union that goes on top of this thing. Like we took the spindle cover off. If you have the TSC already, we charge $1,000 for the kit to do it. So I'm like, well, what if we made a kit that could just retrofit through spindle air to any machine, right? So we start looking at the rotary unions. We find the Haas one, and it's $3,000, and we find, but I keep digging and digging and digging until we found the manufacturer in China that makes them for Haas. So we get them to make one, and have it kind of aired over, pay the stupid tariffs, and that was like, I don't know, $300-$400 with the tariffs, and we get this thing in there, we 3D print some brackets, and we got it working, and the install was like 20 minutes. So we're pretty excited about that. It's actually a through spindle coolant union, so conceivably you could hook up through spindle coolant to one of these machines for like a couple grand.
I am either having the worst case of deja vu or I literally dreamt that we had this conversation. So you might want to listen to
I'm
last week's
okay.
podcast because I think you told this exact same story.
Okay, maybe it was less finished. Yeah, no, I think we were still working on that, and we're waiting for a couple of parts to come in.
Okay.
But
I'm just
we like
like, I
redesigned
don't
the
think I'm going too
brackets.
crazy.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're not. But I think last week it didn't work. Was that?
Okay. So now it works. Okay.
Yeah. Now it works. And like we have a game plan, and
Cool.
but like this one, another one of the things of my concern is like, how do I market it? Like, how do I in these like weird niche industrial products? It's like, how do I say I have the equipped flow system that delivers through spindle air to a machine, right? If you already have through spindle coolant provision on the machine or through spindle coolant, and then I have this equipped flow, whatever the naming scheme is, two that you use that's a little more expensive if you don't have this provision, and we're kind of into like industrial goobly gop where SKU expansion and a bunch kind of becomes its own problem.
I guess my question would be, do you have to sell it or do you want to sell it? Like, does this
Yeah.
align with where the entire ecosystem of gimbal is going?
Yeah, I don't know, and that's something I've thought a lot about of like cutting SKUs, and like looking at what things aren't profitable, and I'm sure there's products I can look in the Shopify that we've sold $1,500 of over a year. Like, why am I selling that?
I think we talked about that on several podcasts ago. I think my challenge was to you at that time, and I still want to say it again, is cut 20% of your SKUs every year, Michael.
Yeah, yeah, and I think of things like our gripper pressure booster, and I think the answer is like, I never want to not have the answer to a customer. Like, okay, I can't pick up this part. So like, what did we do? We went and we sourced and we had manufactured these pressure boosters. And, now we sell the pressure boosters, we add magnets to them, they boost the pressure so now they can grip the part. And maybe the answer is because I've had that conversation twice in the last year, is either like, hey, too bad, we don't have a solution for you, or even now, go buy our high force version of the gripper and it solves the problem.
Okay, so I like the last one the best.
Yeah. But when we came out with the pressure booster, we didn't have that solution. But it now that I say it out loud, it's like we have redundant solutions to this.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean that's like buying a skid steer is what I'm hearing. I want this attachment that cuts big brush, but I need a skid steer that has high flow is what, I run into on the farm. And so I got to buy the bigger skid steer.
okay, we're going to a pressure booster, and I'm going to do it here. I'm going to put this back into draft. It hurts me. I just cut a skew.
Congratulations. I
Woo.
love it.
E5.
E5.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that, but I like it.
But yeah, you're right. I like, even for our soft jaws, like we have like steel serrated soft jaws, aluminum serrated soft jaws, and aluminum keyed soft jaws. Like, do we really need every one? Maybe not. Probably not. Yeah, like you're right. There's a lot of SKUs that we should probably be cutting right now.
Yeah, it comes with it. I mean, you're still figuring out what's moving. I think you've got a pile of SKUs. Your revenue is still figuring out where it's going with those SKUs. So I still just think 20%, put a date on the calendar in the
Yep.
future that you're going to evaluate. And your goal is to cut 20% of the entire list of SKUs that you sell.
Yeah, and here's like another like interesting SKU problem. So like we have the air gim gripper and we have the coolant gim gripper. And we have the like extrusion bodies that make up like the core. And we used to outsource them, now we make them. So we get the like black extrusion. And the problem with the original one that we like sourced was the hole was too small for like particulate to get through. So we drilled out that hole and then we could turn it into the coolant gim gripper. Literally the difference is the diameter of a single hole. Right.
Sounds about right.
Then we started doing it to all of them, right? And then we started making the extrusions ourselves. So like literally the air and the coolant gim grippers are the same product with a different nameplate. And because like
What?
the air doesn't care that the hole is bigger, right? The difference is like one Allen key, or one set screw has a hole in it versus two set screws have a hole in it to relieve some pressure.
Oh, I see.
And there's places like that where this is one of those places we talked about earlier. Like to avoid customer confusion, I just make them two separate SKUs,
Yeah.
so someone doesn't have to ask. Yeah.
I agree with that. It is a challenge because if you had in your instruction manual, you got to put this set screw in, you'd just be paying for that in phone calls.
Yeah. And I'm shocked how many people just don't read the FAQ. Like, you scroll down at the bottom of the page and like we definitely get fewer phone calls now that those are there. Like there's a step file, there's a drawing, there's, the FAQ, just a shocking amount of people just don't read it and just ask the question anyway.
Yeah, I can't make fun of those people because I'm probably more.
I'm sure I've done it too.
I'm one of those people,
Yeah.
so I always think I can assemble the thing without the instructions.
Yeah,
I don't know
you're
why I
right.
have 9 extra bolts in there. I need it.
Yeah. Yeah, like even the quick flip station. We have an upgraded version that is the high force, right? And I guess this is a question for you of like, what do you think we do? Because we have like old inventory of the old version, right? And I guess this is one of those like overproduction problems of the 6 lean wastes. You can tell I'm getting a little lean obsessed, but like, okay, do I just throw the old ones in the trash and just launch a new superior version and just or do I keep selling this one until that inventory is depleted and then go to the new version, or do I sell them both? And these are kind of the questions I've been grappling with.
I think I would go with the latter.
So SKU expansion, like sell
Sorry.
them both. Oh, the middle one.
Sell them until they go away and then expand.
Yeah.
Is what I would. It's interesting because we're running through this right now. We have the accessory kits that we've sold for vacuum fixtures. We've sold nearly 0 of them. Like it's been one of those things where like maybe not 0, but like let's say 10% of the people that buy a VFS upgrade to one of those accessory kits. And we decided that we're going to cut it. And then this week, all of a sudden, we've got somebody call in and they just want to buy the accessory kit. And I was like, what?
Okay. Yeah.
Like you don't want our ecosystem? You
Mhm.
just want to buy our accessories? It was really weird. And I'm like, well, it's the last one on the shelf, so it's all yours. And so it's like we have officially discontinued our
Yeah,
accessories as of today because it's going out in the mail.
right. That's good.
But it was just really weird things like that because that makes you like, it made me want to be like, oh, maybe we should keep this. And it's like, no, I'm sticking to the decision. We were cutting these SKUs just because of one sale. I am not keeping these things around in inventory.
Yeah, you know what? Like you're right. I got to get like aggressive, and I think I want to push it farther. Like so, like half of the thing still works, and like the grippers are the same as the through spindle air gripper. So it's not like we're losing the inventory. Like I should just eat $150 apart for the 6 that we have on the shelf. Just move to the new version. It's already designed. Just give her the problem.
Oh,
And
that's all it costs. I thought there was costs.
yeah,
Can you
and
reuse some of those components?
yeah, like all of it, but like the adapter.
Oh, then yeah, I would
Yeah.
just do
Okay.
that, then kill it. Like we went through, so this like beginning Q1 here, we were filling trash cans left and right.
Yeah.
Legacy R&D things we did. It was amazing. Like I was looking at things and I'm like, there is like $5,000 worth of stuff there, but there is no way to monetize it. Throw in the trash.
So
Like,
so here's we're like well into improvements, but
yeah,
um, but like here's another question. Like well, I guess this is I'll start with a statement. Like I've been getting into this lean thing, and I've been getting into the idea of like okay, maybe not let's make one of like our grip or our M code air pendants, but maybe let's make 6. And what would happen now is like we go and order them right from one of our local vendors. They get made. That takes 4 to 5 weeks. Then they come
yeah,
to us. Then we ship them to our anodizer. That takes a week to a week and a half. Then they come back to us. Then they get laser etched. And, and to make that work, we have to do a batch of like 25. And, we might we're trying to keep the batches small, quote unquote. So we're ordering this like, 1 to 2 times a month. And, like looking at that, we're trying to keep as little inventory on the shelf as possible. But we probably like if we can just bring that production back in house, move anodized to powder coat, we can almost make that like a one piece flow kind of deal. Um,
I'm
and
really liking how you're focusing on rather than more SKUs making profit.
yeah,
Like I'm really liking this conversation, Michael. Congratulations. Like
thanks.
you definitely deserve an pat on the back is to play on the high five from earlier. Like
Yeah,
I am loving how you're focusing on what you have and optimizing it. I think you're gonna really love, like you're gonna see some fruit from this.
yeah. But I have this tension, and I don't know how. Like, you think I should address this, and I'm kind of curious. Like, I desperately want to in-house all these things right now. Especially all of our aluminum parts, all the things that we can just make here without a second thought.
We
Let me
I think
finish.
we go back on podcasts. I think I said you should do that a while ago.
You did, and yeah, but I
Like
think we.
your business model. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, go keep going.
Your business model reminds me a lot of Ring Brothers. You
Yeah,
have a lot of SKUs. What you need to do is figure out not necessarily the best fixturing or way to hold a lot of these in there. I think you go to a pile of soft jaws and really quick turnover, keep your vices and setups very similar, and you see how much you can drive your changeovers between jobs down, common tooling, stuff like that. That's the way I would go about it. And I would also commonize my machines. So
yeah,
I would have production machines, like whether you get a bunch of DM2s, robo drills, VF2s, whatever it is, the same machine across all your production stuff.
yeah, yeah.
That's my thought, but
Well, there's definitely some
that's my
tension. But and as I say this, I look at like our part trays. Nobody buys the part trays. Everybody can buy a piece of aluminum and cut the little pockets. Like I don't know why I'm selling those. So I'm going to cut the part tray SKUs too.
Do you want to do that on the call? I feel like
It,
Dave
it,
Ramsey
it's
right
going
now.
to take too
Sell the
long.
car.
Yeah, it's going to take too long to do on the call because I gotta talk to our Shopify guy and get the links taken down. But um, I guess the other question, I have this tension right now. Like I want to go this lean route so badly, and my problem is like to bring the production back. Like I just need like an A player CNC machinist who knows Haas and knows Fusion, right? And I just need that person, and I haven't found one I'm satisfied with yet. And
Yeah.
so I have this tension of like, I want to do the lean thing, I want to do it now, but I want to hire the right person. Um, and it's like, what
Yeah.
do I do? And like the only option is like for if I don't hire, aggressively or don't hire kind of a B level candidate, it's for me to go out on the floor, which means something else is getting sacrificed.
I think you hit something there. You want to do lean and you want to do it now. I think you're missing something about lean based on that comment.
Is that just take the small continuous improvement?
Well, not necessarily, because that's some contradictory stuff within Lean. I'm also not done with the Toyota Way book yet. For context, I'm reading roughly 2 pages per night with Milo, so I'm not
Yeah.
getting through this book too fast. So this will be the first
You
technical
should read
book
it
he
out
will.
loud to him.
I am. Yeah,
Really?
I'm reading the
Okay.
book out loud because
Yeah.
like I can only read so many picture books before like I'm like, yeah, the cow jumped over the moon 9 times. And it's like he's not getting any context of it because he's not seeing the pictures yet.
I
So
bet the Toyota Way puts him right to sleep.
it actually doesn't. It's quite an amazing. So he can make it through 2 pages usually, but yeah, um,
Okay.
it's working out well. But where I'm going with it is part of it is building the culture around it.
Yeah.
So rather than trying to drive it or really push it, I think it's just incremental improvements. I mean, granted, you've done a lot of big things, and I think that's the start of it. Is you have to go through and you just have to the big stuff just get done yourself and go through it. But then the team starts picking up that ball, if you
Right.
will. And so if you start doing that now, what'll happen is if you hire the right machinist, like you're doing and you're gonna do in the future here, that person's gonna come into the culture that you built for them to play in, and that is gonna start happening in your machining department.
Yep. Yep.
So I think that's the way I would be looking at it rather than trying to like, I want to hire this person and go now. I'm going to hire the person at the right time. What I can do and what I can control is focusing my team on lean on other initiatives. So when he starts, he just sees it as part of the culture.
Yeah. And yeah, to that note, like I'm just growing so much more patient, and it's so nice to see in myself because I've always had this like whatever it was like eating away inside of me when I wasn't doing something new. And I just feel like I'm becoming like a decent business person. Like I'll look at the P&L every other day, and I'm focused on the finances, and now I'm saying what's broken, what's gonna, and like right now, I think Michael from a year ago would have gone fucking crazy. I would have tried to hire a bunch of people. I'd be like, we're sell, sell, sell. Like, I have all these, job. Like I could double revenue this month if I wanted to, and and I was like, nope, 25% month over month. That's all. Like
But
no more.
that's,
Yeah,
you're going to look back and that's going to be far more sustainable and you'll actually end up growing more. There's a
yeah,
lot of history around that.
yeah. Because we grew too much. We didn't create the cash buffer, and then we crashed.
Mhm.
And the I'm not gonna do it again.
Fair
Yeah.
enough. Something that I think would help you with that lean, I'm going to push a challenge to you. Please push back if you got a big challenge with it. I think you should throw that metal 3D printer away that you showed in your last Instagram reel.
Oh, the big one. Yeah, yeah. That's hard.
Why I'm saying it is I have found that legacy projects or client projects that I just kept around because it was like, I just don't want to throw this away. It's a weird weight. And
Yeah,
it's a
you're right.
weird space that it takes up physically and mentally. And for me, it was like, all right, I got to narrow this down. Maybe there's like some really expensive print head or controls in there or something in there. Gut
So,
that
so
out. But
that's the one exception, and clearly I'm attached to it. I burned 300 grand, 400 grand on that project. I think the reason I have it like across from me in the front office, that is like for me like a crystallization of all of my failures. Doing too much, too big, too fast, all at once. And was kind of like when I built that machine, it was like the line in the sand for me of like I'm not going to do consulting and job shop work forever. And it was like my all-in transition, and it failed, right? But to me, it was like the stepping stone of my line in the sand. And maybe this is making an excuse. And right after that is where the grippers came along.
I guess I'm going to rephrase my question then. Because the way I would look at that, if I constantly saw that every day, does that motivate you or like frustrate you every single time you see it?
Oh, I think it's cool.
Okay. If
The
it still motivates you, because I have some of those projects where it's just like, oh, this pisses me off when I see it's got
oh,
to go in the trash.
to me, what it says, I think, is calm down. You
Okay.
don't have to try because I built that thing in like 2 months, and I spent, you know, like 400 grand in 2 months. It was fucking crazy. And I've had so many of those moments, and so and that's how we launched 200 SKUs in 18 months. But now I'm kind of like trying to be an adult here, and I think it's like a reminder to me of like
Okay.
what I've done wrong. But I think there's a lot right about what you're saying. Like not just the printer. There's three other like Raise 3D printers on the floor that I converted to print metal. There's a bunch of furnaces in the other shop for the metal 3D printing. Like those things need to go. And I think I need to be more aggressive about moving those things that really are just taking up space. Whether
Well,
we sell them, whether we scrap them.
And that's a cost too. Like there's
Yeah.
things that like it's something I do personally in my life. If I haven't used this in the last X number of years based on the cost, it's kind of like an internal calculation I'll
Right.
run. I throw it away. I've bought things again months later after I threw something away.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a little weird that way. I get a lot of pushback from some friends and family on it that I'm a little too far on that. But it just like I like the space, and it just shows like it's just less clutter to me. But that's my personality. I think I'd sell the stuff, get the space, and move forward.
Yeah. And I think part of it is like just the energy of selling shit. It's like, we had this one furnace like we listed, and we sold it for 12.5, right? But it took 2 years for someone to buy the damn thing on consignment. And
A
there's
consignment?
yeah. Or it wasn't on consignment, on whatever we take the photos, the dealer does their thing, they sell it to them, they wire us, our portion of the money, and then it goes
But
out.
could you put all that stuff in a corner and sell it all to a wholesaler in 20 minutes?
Yeah, for pennies on the dollar, right?
What's
But
time worth?
that's
And
the
what's
thing.
space
Yeah,
worth?
yeah, yeah. That's the thing. And I think at least like we have an excess of space right now, and I think we are going to ride out our other lease until its term, which is like another 12 months.
Okay.
Just because again, it's like what's the time worth? Like moving all this shit like right now when we're trying to keep our head above water. The moving the machines, getting them recommissioned is a pain. But what we can do is like we have the upstairs office space over there. Like we can move the printers there, and there's no cost. It won't get in the way of anybody,
Hmm.
and it's a solution to get that precious shop space and our main floor back.
What's the cost of real estate in your area?
Oh, I think we're paying like $1.30 per square foot per month. If I
What's it cost to buy?
um, I don't know, honestly.
That might be something else as you're looking at like your initiatives here, and now that you're refinancing stuff, that would be something else I would challenge you when that lease comes up is acquiring something in 12 months.
Yeah. The I, my skepticism, I think, comes from like we have all these unique tax and compliance issues in California. And man, I love the spot we're in because we're in this little pocket that's exempted from LA County tax.
Okay.
It's a good little business park. It's in a good location. Like it just seems like a lot. And I want, and in simplifying my life, I'm trying to get rid of the plane. I'm trying to get rid of the hangar. I'm trying to get rid of all this shit. And sometimes I get tempted. I was like the other day, I'm like I could sell all my Magic the Gathering cards and buy like an Audi R8. And I was like, what if
How many cards do you
a lot,
have?
too fucking many. And like
Oh
this is
my
kind of
Lord.
like this is a theme with me. You'll see is like at least hopefully less, but I go all in on these things, and I think it's going to become like a major aspect of my life. And things like the metal 3D printer or Magic cards or watches, I get really into them, and I think it's going to be a huge component of my life and like my thing. And then 6 months later, I don't care. And it's something since I met Priscilla that she very wisely stomped out of me, and was like,
I would sell those cards
yeah.
all day and buy that car.
Well, but what probably I should do is sell the cards and not buy the car, right?
No, I agree with that answer. But like I have a car addiction, as you know. So
Yeah.
actually I don't drive anything fun right now, but
it's like I have 2 cars already. Like, where am I going to put the third one? Like,
no.
there's all these things in my life that are just a waste. And
Yeah, I agree with you selling those things, the plane, putting those to work then in your business. I think you're thinking about it right.
yeah, like the plane's listed for sale. So if you're looking for a small
congrats.
Hungarian aerobatic plane,
Nice.
but it's just like the furnace. I'm sure it's going to be like, it could be tomorrow. It could be another year until that stupid thing sells. And I'm eating $7,000 a year and just random costs of the hangar insurance, whatever, which is irritating. But I'm definitely going after the simplification thing, and I appreciate you pushing it more on me, like in the confines of the business.
Yeah, I like it. It might just be the household I grew up in.
Yeah.
My dad was always a very simple on most things. So yeah, I like it.
Cool. I mean, we're already at an hour. Do you want to?
We are. Yeah, I mean,
We can keep
otherwise,
going. Yeah, I
yeah.
have time.
The only other updates and improvements I have is we do postmortems at the end of the projects. I absolutely loved seeing the postmortem on the end of this, what we called 2101 or Nut Runner project. It's a bunch of initiatives, what didn't go well, what went well, what we did for changes, and it's really cool to see our team taking shape on machine building because it's definitely not for lighthearted, if you will. You burn a lot of cash in your first several projects just
Yeah.
to figure out and build your processes.
Yeah. And I could go
That
on about improvements like we tore down our whole assembly area. So like we just released like a shop tour Instagram video, and I went in and I found when our guy left, I was just trying to assemble something because we had to assemble one to ship out, and I was trying to train one of our other employees to do it, and I just like couldn't find anything, and then the deeper I dug, the worse it was, and basically Priscilla and Ismail, like we all came in on Saturday and we just like totally tore it up. I'm so glad we did. We started like actually forcing ourselves to use Arta, which is that a Kanban system.
that you're
It's
paying
so
for.
good. Yeah, it's like $300 a month. It's so they might have, I don't know if that's still a pricing, but it's so good. I mean, and we tried to build a Kanban system and the but it's like, oh, we can actually assemble things now, and like, oh, we can keep stock of everything now, and that next step is bringing that production in house. And
Yeah, there
yeah,
you go.
forcing
Sell the
myself to
cards
be.
and buy your production lines. There you go.
Well, we like the thing is that is really annoying. Is like we have the machinery, like we have all the stuff to do it. I need the
It's all
people.
different.
Yeah,
It's all
yeah.
different machines, though, Michael.
And that's part of the challenge though with our business model is that when I could go and I could buy an identical DC1 to the one we have on the floor, right? Or I could buy a brother that's like the equivalent machine. And the thing about that is like now I can test all of our macros and everything on a real life. I know our stuff runs on brother, right? But like we can learn more with that other machine. And part of me is like tempted to like sell the DC1 and like buy a brother and sell that and buy a Herco. Um, but yeah, that's a problem for sure. That's annoying is that there's not standardization between our spindles.
I think you should have dedicated production machines at this point, or
Yeah,
machine, just
yeah,
dedicated machine to start building out this process. That'd be that build your model line, as Toyota would call that, and focus on that. So, like, all right, this is what I think is going to be the best for the SKUs we're going to make now and into the future. And I understand it's not going to be all of them because you have some large plates you got to, potentially shop out now that you're selling the gantry. But I think I would look at it that way, whether that's I mean, it might be a VF3 or, something like that. I don't know, but
yeah.
look at
And
it
there's
that way.
there's all these complications. Like we did this whole refinancing effort, and part of it is they wanted to refi all of our like loans to collateralize, and that makes sense. I get it. Part of that was a gantry mill. So now where I'm like, okay, I can sell a gantry mill, but now I got to go to the bank and be like, hey, I want to sell this machine and I want to give you something else as collateral. And that's fine. But it's all these additional steps. But you're probably right that that machine should go, and we should put in something else that's standardized that is just a production machine.
I think what you could say to them is you could probably go up and say, hey, I want to sell this machine. Can I give you all the cash that we get from it? And then I'm probably going to want to take out another loan to buy something else.
Yeah, yeah, probably.
I don't know. I mean,
No,
maybe
yeah,
not.
like there's a solution there. It's just I guess that's one of those things. I'm always impatient. I want to do the thing yesterday.
Nothing
Um,
goes fast with lending agents. If you need a dollar today, you better ask a year ago.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The other thing has been a month and a half in progress. So, but yeah, that's lots of improvements, lots of honestly stress. Of like, oh my god, we've been doing it like that, and no one has said anything. Like, that's terrible. And you're right with what you said about like we need that culture shift, and I need to start pushing that.
Yeah. The stuff just starts happening.
Yeah.
That'll be cool. Rolling on to the next one. What did you Google this week?
Hmm. Um, mostly lean stuff. I don't know. I'm not very good at remembering what I Googled, to be honest.
I always have to look at my history.
Yeah, I got to start
What
doing that.
What's interesting
Control
is
H.
like I hardly Googled this week. I've like shifted to ChatGPT for
Really?
asking my Google questions. It's really interesting. Like I had it build me my trade show list where I used to like go and look and find things. It found shows that I didn't even know existed that we're probably going to do next year.
Oh, really?
Based
Yeah.
on me defining like these, I said, this is the show. Basically, like it when I was going to Google, I just described my problem of the shows I was looking for. And it gave me a solid list. And then I just started narrowing it down. I'm like, all right, some of these appear too small. Only give me the shows that have it a minimum of 5,000 attendees.
Yeah. And that's one of those things too that I would encourage you to think is maybe a bit dangerous of like doing all those little shows. Not sub 5,000, you're obviously not going to do that. But,
Yeah, that's
I've heard horror stories of companies like ours who have kind of swelled to the point of doing like 75 trade shows a year.
oh, I'm looking at doing so. We were planning on doing 3 this year. Our leads are coming in light on website, so I'm looking at adding a 4th one for this year, and then next year I'm looking at doing 6.
Okay. Yeah. And just keep it sub 10.
Yeah, my goal I think is to reach 1 per month in the future is really where I was aiming for.
Yeah.
Maybe
Google
exclude
search
December.
results. I have not been Googling much. I have been Googling for 5C call it closers. We've been looking for like a good one. We at some point want to make our own. I told Frank from Mari that he needs to make one. The yeah, I mean, Googling like little hiring things, swing clamps for a custom fixture, some PLC stuff. It's just not much, honestly. I think there's a bajillion Gmail history.
Yeah, that is definitely a big part of it. Typically, is your emails.
I forgot to do the search thing or the questions again on Instagram. Did you put that up in your story or no?
It's in our story. We didn't have anybody comment on it.
Yeah. Okay. So the I guess the personal thing.
Yeah, I don't. Personal thing. I've been trying to cut caffeine out more.
Okay. Yeah, I've not been doing that. I'm still at like 4 or 5 coffees a day. Kind of bad.
Okay, I've removed energy drinks.
Okay. Yeah.
So that one's like an interesting one for me. But yeah, haven't had an energy drink since Friday. Will be 3 weeks, which is interesting.
Yeah, I think I'm like
Feel
2 to 3 coffees plus 2 Red Bulls a day. It's like enough to like give a normal person caffeine poisoning.
Once I got through the curve, my energy's up.
Yeah.
So I actually have more energy and I'm consuming less caffeine.
Good to know. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just that much more positive because I've been really enjoying this year and things are just different to develop.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I have that feeling too of like things just being different and calm. I think I never appreciated that before of like just, knowing, like there's enough AR going forward, like there's enough like work there and then some. There's, like where we're being selective with our customers. I think we've kind of pared down by trying to just shift the culture. We've either fired or had people leave on their own accord who didn't fit. It just feels good, even though I'm super stressed because we don't have enough staff, because we have these production issues. We need to do all these things, but yeah, I feel good.
yeah, I
Yeah.
like it. That's probably a good way to wrap this one up.
Cool. Yeah, we'll wrap up.
Sounds good. Thanks, Michael.
Yep. And then everybody, please, please, please leave a 5-star review, share it with a friend, do something to help us spread the word of the Manufacturing Automation Podcast. Thank you so much for listening to Matt and I's conversation this week on the Manufacturing Automation Podcast. If you like the podcast, please share it with a friend or give us a 5-star review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We'll be back next week to continue sharing our respective journeys in life, business, and industrial automation. Thanks so much.